Welcome, everybody, to the June 3rd Board of Supervisors meeting. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. I'll start with number 3, roll call. Supervisor Coyle.
Present.
Supervisor Grenier, is he?
Is he in yet?
I am virtually here, yes.
He is virtually here. Okay, that was pretty loud. All right. Can he virtually be here a little quieter, though?
Vox Grenier.
So, Supervisor Grenier, are you here? All right, we'll touch back on
Did
that.
I whisper? I am
Yep,
here.
he's here. All right. Welcome. Supervisor Reese.
Here.
Supervisor Lewis.
Present.
And I am here, Supervisor Ross. Next, community announcements. John, take it away.
Alrighty. During this portion of the agenda, residents and youth organizations may call in to make a special announcement or contact the township at admin@lmt.org to request a special announcement to be added to the agenda. The first announcement, the Lower Makefield Township Board of Supervisors recognizes and proclaims the month of June as Pride Month in Lower Makefield Township and encourages the community to recognize and celebrate the contributions of the LGBTQ plus community to Lower Makefield Township. Agenda item 2, or announcement number 2. Make the most of the summer season by becoming a member of the LMT Pool. It's a great way for families to relax, stay active, and enjoy everything the community has to offer. Memberships can be purchased conveniently online at lmt.org. You don't want to miss that opportunity, or in person at the Community Center at 1550 Oxford Valley Road. One of the things that we did this year is cap resident pricing at $600. So if you've got more than 5, 6, 7, 8 kids, and I know some of you are out there, and you're thinking, oh my God, how do I get all these kids herded up and out of the house? Join the pool. Join the pool. You're capped at $600 no matter how many kids you have. And if you got a lot of kids, more the merrier. Come on down to the Lower Makefield Township Pool. We look forward to seeing you this pool season. Agenda D. Lower Makefield Township is going to be hosting a Red Cross blood drive on Friday, July 24th, 2026, from 12 to 5 p.m. in the main building of the Township Building. That's right here in this actual room. To register, I want you to visit redcrossblood.org. Enter the sponsor code Lower Makefield. As a reminder, the playlist that they have is very good. It's a great mix of 70s and 80s songs that you're not hearing at other blood drives. And more importantly, snacks are top notch. Now, they don't have the old famous Amos cookies, but the rest of the snacks are legit. I know I donate blood here every time, and you don't want to miss that opportunity. So with that, those are the announcements.
All right, thank you, Supervisor Lewis. All right, next is number 5, public comment on non-agenda items. If you have any comments, please come up to the podium and state your name, and if you're a resident of the township, and please keep your comments to 3 minutes and do not repeat previous comments. You're up.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Hasib Abdur Rahman. I'm the Public Relations Officer for the Zubaydah Foundation, which is located on 855 Big Oak Road, right across, adjacent to Charles Bain Middle School. If you notice, I'm looking to the back. I always look to see if the police are there, and I don't see any of the officers there. And if they're in the back or detective or whatever, I don't recognize them. But nonetheless, I want to always open by giving kudos to the Lower Makefield Township Police Department for the outstanding job that they continue to do. Before Zubaydah Foundation came into existence, they were doing an outstanding job, and also they continue to this day, and it's continuing. So I want to give kudos to the police, Chief of Police, Joseph D. Kelly III, Captain Tim Reeves. Captain Tim Reeves, I can never say enough about him as well as the police chief. Last week, the last month where I was here for the meeting, my wife dropped me off. My wife doesn't like to drive at night, so I was stranded without a ride. Captain Tim Reeves saw to it that one of his officers dropped me off at the Zubaydah Foundation. that's just to give you a small, minute example of the police department here in the Lower Makefield Township Department. I put this department on par with the West Windsor Police Department. I don't know if you ever heard of the West Windsor Township Police Department. They're at the top of the chain over there in New Jersey. So I rate the Lower Makefield Township even par with them. And they, likewise, the police department here, they have an outstanding relationship with the MCGP, which is the largest Muslim masjid in the state of New Jersey. So that kind of relationship is at the top of the line. So, and also with the police chief, they would not be successful, in my humble opinion, without their outstanding administrative staff. And I went by the office yesterday just to speak to Jennifer. And I said, Jennifer, give me the name of your top echelon in your secretarial department. And she gave me the names Christine, Patty, Sarah. They're part of that outstanding. That's the wheel that makes everything successful insofar as the department there. So I always like to open up and saying my thanks and appreciation. And one of the things that Police Chief Kelly does, we have one assigned officer to our religious day of worship on Fridays. One officer that that's all we can afford to pay. As you know, everything is expensive that day, but protection is something that it goes beyond $1. Right. Okay, with all the violence that's prevalent throughout the country, and Lower Makefield is no exception to that. These kinds of things happen, so we have a needed presence for police on the campus, and especially we have children. We run a daycare center, we run a day school. So these things are prevalent. So when he sends additional officer at no charge to the Zubaydah Foundation, then we appreciate those little small things. These are the things that police departments do, or what's being done in this township, and they don't get any kind of recognition. So that's why I come here and I make the point to put them at the top of the chain. Officer, administrator, special thanks to the police chief, and I won't go into the names, but I want to give a shout out to one officer, and she's a female officer, Callie. That female officer, she was on our premises. We had a festival, and she did everything. She was a one-woman operation representing the police department. She worked for 6 hours, and I can never say enough about Callie.
Thank you. You're actually at your 3 minutes.
And also, I know I'm past time yet.
Yeah, you
Okay,
just passed.
I just want to mention this here then. Then I'd still say I haven't gotten over to the office, but I'm definitely interested in the Human Relations Commission, as I served on a Human Relations Commission 15 plus years ago in the state of Philadelphia, in the city of Philadelphia. And I'm interested also, I read a pamphlet on the Disability Advisory Board. This is a very important entity here. I'm very much interested in that. There are a lot of people walking around there with disabilities. I just read in the New York Times this morning wherein somebody was pushed off of the subway. You know, you're catching the subway, an elder citizen.
All right. Thank you very much for your comment.
Okay? So 5 Mile Woods. I love it. I was over there.
Yep. I'm sorry. We really
Okay,
thank you very
time
much.
is up.
Yeah. Just connect with staff and
Thank you so
we'll
much.
get you on something.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
See you in 2 weeks.
See you in 2 weeks.
I would like to enter into the record. My favorite thing about Captain Reeves is how little he enjoys being the center of attention, and I love how much you come and pour attention on him at the start of every meeting. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Any other public comment? Oh, well, we got one coming up. Come on up. Yeah, no, come on up. It's no problem. Just state your name and if you're a resident of the township, and keep your comments to 3 minutes.
My name's Alan Barth. Can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Lower Makefield Township. Before I read these letters, I have some letters to read. I want to make clear why they matter. Over the past several weeks, the evening remembrance and light ceremony has repeatedly been questioned and denied based on the beginning of Rosh Hashanah. Because of that, members of the Jewish community and respected rabbis felt compelled to speak for themselves. These letters are important because they make something very clear. Observant Jews did not ask for the ceremony to be denied. In fact, the rabbis explain that remembrance, mourning, compassion, and honoring those lost on September 11th are values deeply consistent with the spirit of Rosh Hashanah itself. They also remind us that preventing grieving families from gathering in remembrance is not an act of inclusion, especially when Jewish families themselves wish to attend or support the ceremony. Most importantly, these letters speak with humanity. They recognize that 25 years later, 9/11 families still need a place to gather together in peace, candlelight, prayer, and remembrance. I ask everyone listening tonight to hear these words with the compassion and understanding with which they were written. These letters are why the 9/11 families should all be involved in having the ceremonies they need and ask for. Now, the first letter, because of time constraints, even though this guy got 4 minutes, this letter I may forego. His name is Rabbi David Levin. He's the president of the Board of Rabbis of Greater Philadelphia, Jewish Relationships Initiative. I will move on to the second letter, because this is a very important one, and it was sent to the board supervisors. And it is from Rabbi Yonah Gross, who is the Mid-Atlantic Regional VP of the Coalition of Jewish Values. Dear Mr. Ross, I recently learned about the candlelight visual plan for the evening of September 11, 2026 in Lower Makefield Township to commemorate the victims of 9/11 on the 25th anniversary of that terrible day. I understand that the Township Board of Supervisors denied the permit for this event on the grounds that the date coincides with Rosh Hashanah and that observant Jews would therefore be unable to participate. I serve as the rabbi of an Orthodox synagogue in Lower Merion and as the regional vice president of the Coalition for Jewish Values. While I appreciate the township's desire to be inclusive and sensitive to the Jewish community, I'm deeply troubled that a meaningful memorial event would be denied because of a Jewish holiday. As observant Jews, we regularly seek reasonable accommodations for our religious practices, whether leaving work early on Fridays, arranging schedules around holidays, or ensuring that children's activities do not conflict with Shabbos. However, we do so with the understanding that accommodations must be balanced with the needs and realities of the broader community. For example, this year Independence Day falls on Shabbos, which means many observant Jews will be unable to participate in July 4th celebrations. It would never occur to us to ask municipalities to postpone or cancel these commemorations because we cannot attend them. In fact, remembrance is one of the central themes of Rosh Hashanah itself. On that day, we ask God to remember the deeds, suffering, heroism, and destiny of mankind. While a 9/11 memorial vigil is not specifically part of the holiday observance, an event dedicated to remembrance and reflection is entirely consistent with the spirit of the day, and some members of the Jewish community might even choose to attend. Moreover, attributing the cancellation of a public memorial event to Orthodox Jewish observance is both unfair and counterproductive. At a time of rising anti-Semitism, it is especially important not to create resentment toward the Jewish community over a restriction that observant Jews neither sought nor requested.
All right,
A
thank you
Rosh
for your
Hashanah
comment.
tradition
Your
includes
time is up,
hearing-
ma'am.
Excuse me?
I said your time is up, ma'am.
That man had 4 minutes, and I
And
will
you're at 4
continue.
minutes and 10 seconds now.
A Rosh Hashanah tradition
Ma'am?
includes hearing 100
Ma'am?
blasts of the shofar. The Talmud,
Ma'am, your time is up.
really?
Yes.
Okay, well, we'll make sure that this gets heard.
Okay, no problem.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your comment. Any other public comment?
Beth McNamara, Lower Makefield. I am here simply to read something that Debbie Senko Goldman wrote. To the members of the Lower Makefield Board of Supervisors, I write to you not only as a member of the Jewish community, but as a widow of September 11th. For nearly 25 years, September 11th has not been an abstract day on a calendar to me. It has been a wound, a memory, a silence at the dinner table, and a life forever divided into before and after. Like so many other families, I have spent these years learning how to carry grief while still trying to find moments of peace, meaning, and connection. This year, the 25th anniversary carries a weight unlike any before it. It is not simply another year of remembrance. It is a milestone that many of us have emotionally prepared for long before this controversy ever arose. I understand and deeply honor the significance of Rosh Hashanah. As Jews, we enter the new year with prayer, reflection, remembrance, and hope. But because I am Jewish, I also understand that remembrance itself is sacred. Mourning is sacred. Gathering together to honor those we lost is sacred. I have read the letters written by the rabbis regarding the situation, and I cried while reading them. Their words reflected both compassion and wisdom. They acknowledged the importance of Rosh Hashanah while also recognizing the profound need for families and communities to gather together on the evening of September 11th in remembrance and healing. I especially appreciated their honesty in saying that observant Jews did not ask for this ceremony to be denied in our name. Their reasoning spoke deeply to me because it reflected what I feel in my own heart, that remembrance, compassion, mourning, and unity are entirely consistent with Jewish values and with the spirit of Rosh Hashanah itself. That is why I want the Remembrance and Light ceremony to take place on the evening of September 11th, as it always has. That is why I am asking you to reverse your decision and allow a ceremony for all of us. I want to stand among others who understand loss. I want to see candles lit against the darkness. I want to hear the peaceful thoughts, prayers, music, and reflections that are shared throughout the ceremony, words that bring comfort to families who still carry unimaginable grief 25 years later. Those moments are not political, they are healing. The candlelight ceremony is not a conflict with my faith. For me, it is an extension of it. No one should use Judaism or Rosh Hashanah as a reason to deny families, survivors, and community members the opportunity to gather together in remembrance. Many Jewish families, including my own, do not want this ceremony prevented in our name. We have learned since September 11th that grief does not appear because a date becomes complicated. Sometimes life asks us to hold multiple truths at once. This year we can honor both the beginning of Rosh Hashanah and the memory of those murdered on September 11th with dignity and compassion. Please allow the Remembrance and Light ceremony to move forward on the evening of September 11th, 2026. The families who have carried this loss for 25 years deserve the opportunity to stand together, hear words of peace and healing, and remember our loved ones in the light they serve. Respectfully, Debbie Senko Goldman, who was unable to attend tonight.
Thank you for your comment. Come on up.
Hi, please feel free to hold me to exactly the 3 minutes. And I just want to, before I say what I was going to say, make sure that those who are watching from home understand that the ceremony in the evening is in fact still happening. It has never been canceled. It's just not happening in the way that some people would like it to happen, but it is not canceled. It is in fact still happening.
Sorry, would you state your name for
Yes.
the purpose of the record and whether or
Sorry.
not you're a resident of Lower Makefield Township? Thank
Yes, my name is Jennifer. My name is Jennifer Reese-Silman, and I am a resident of Lower Makefield. Good evening. I am also the sister of Joshua Reese, who was killed on September 11th. And it would be weird for me to not also say that I am the daughter of Supervisor Judy. I also work professionally in Jewish communal life and in higher education for the last almost decade, where a large part of my work involves partnering with universities, administrators, and community leaders to ensure that religious observances are treated with respect and understanding. One of the most important lessons that this work has taught me is that we do not decide for a faith community what is and is not appropriate within a sacred observance, especially in Judaism, when many people have vastly different observances, especially when the overwhelming consensus from current Lower Makefield Township religious leaders has always been made clear. This year presents an incredibly difficult and emotional circumstance because September 11th falls on the first night of Rosh Hashanah, one of the holiest days in Judaism. Once sundown begins, the holiday has begun. For observant Jews, families, clergies, and community members, attending and participating in a public memorial event after sundown at that time would not be religiously permissible. That reality is not political, it is not dismissive of the victims, and it is not a lack of care for a remembrance. My family has lived this loss every single day for nearly 25 years. I deeply understand the desire to honor our loved ones on that exact day, so much so that I've been involved in the execution of 9/11 memorials for almost a decade now. But I also believe strongly that honoring the memory of those we lost should not come at the expense of disregarding the sincerely held religious practices of members of this community. What concerns me most is that this conversation has continued for so long, despite clear guidance from many of the rabbis and Jewish leaders in Lower Makefield who actually serve this community every day. At some point, continuing to debate whether a religious holiday should be accommodated begins to feel less like inclusion and more like questioning whether that faith tradition deserves respect in the first place. I believe that there is a clear path forward that can honor everybody's wishes, one that preserves the dignity of the memorial, respects the Jewish holiday, and allows all family members and community members to participate meaningfully and fully within our own community. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Is there any other public comment in the room?
Hi, I'm Ellen Saraceni, Lower Makefield Township. This is not about the rabbi's letters, but I wanted to bring up something from an email that I was blind copied on that I was questioning why that happened. It was an email from a radio talk show host asking for participation from Mr. Lewis. And the answer is what confused me. This controversy that you are referencing is in your answer, is part of a long and difficult story that does not neatly fit into the partisan or religious alignment that was previously discussed. The community will not be served well with a quick 15-minute Zoom call. And I question that because if what it is that is saying. Respectfully, I've been involved with the Garden of Reflection Memorial, and I'm a family member, and I've continued to fundraise and provide financial relief for the taxpayers of Lower Makefield Township by providing landscape maintenance costs to be paid out of the endowment. This year, past year, we paid over $48,000 to the township as a reimbursement for all those costs, even including some in Memorial Park. From where we stand, this is not a partisan issue or aligned with a religious controversy, nor should it be viewed as one. It is about whether families who lost loved ones on September 11th will be allowed to gather peacefully at a memorial that is established by this 9/11 family member for remembrance and healing. If there is truly a long and difficult story, then I believe that the families in our community deserve honesty and transparency about what that exactly means, because what many of us have experienced over the years has been a repeated pattern of obstacles placed in front of the ceremony and this memorial organization. One year, one of the Board of Supervisors took out a permit from 7 a.m. On September 10th to 9 p.m. on September 11th, effectively preventing the Remembrance and Light ceremony from taking place. Only after significant discussion and pushback was that revised to allow the ceremony. Another time, the 9/11 Memorial Garden of Reflection, Inc., a private 501c3, was told it needed to turn over all of its financial records, database, invoices, bank statements, investment statements, or the permit for the ceremony would not be granted. Again, only after significant discussion and spending many hours collecting this information, and over 4 hours me sitting in the solicitor's office while they copied all of the records, was a permit issued. I bet no other 501c3 in this township has had that demand been requested of them. Also, I will add that even though false allegations were made, the township could not find one discrepancy in any of the records. Also, previously, the township spent over $10,000 trying to get money from my private 501c3 turned over to the township until realizing it was illegal and you had no claim to it to fund personal fundraising efforts. After repeated asks by our 501c3 organization for the township to turn over financial records pertaining to the Garden of Reflection, we received nothing. It was because of this non-transparency on the township's part that we separated, and with unanimous Board of Supervisor consent, we formed our own 501c3. At the same time, another organization separated from the Township Community Foundation because they found errors in their account ledger and said that the administration costs were too high. And now this year we are being told the issue is Rosh Hashanah, despite multiple rabbis publicly and thoughtfully stating that this Jewish community did not request this ceremony be denied, and that remembrance, mourning, and compassion are entirely consistent with the spirit of the holiday. So I'm asking, what is this long and difficult story that now is being professed that this is the reason why, another reason why this ceremony cannot be held?
Thank you for your comment. Your time is up.
Yep. Well, I'm asking, can I have an answer?
May I ask some questions?
Sure.
Absolutely.
So the first is, when the 9/11 Memorial Garden of Reflection separated from the community fund, became an independent 501c3, and I apologize if I get any of the history wrong. I wasn't here at the time on the exact terminology.
Okay, I can tell you.
Did the township and the 501c3 enter into any form of a memorandum of understanding that outlines a formal relationship between the township and the nonprofit?
The Board of Supervisors, like I said, unanimously said that they were fine with us separating, and all of the money that was fundraised and was in the township stayed with the township so that it would provide years of financial support for the maintenance of the garden.
Okay. It sounds like it would be beneficial at some point, and maybe not in this week, but to sit down and work out something on paper about what the formal relationship between the two groups is, when, locking in your access to host events and all of those things, so that we aren't treating things as a case by case every time they come up. But that's just for a future kind of a set aside, just reacting to that. Is there no way for us to work together on this event? Is there no accommodation that can be made where perhaps your group would be able to host an evening ceremony that began at 6:30, and that any active ceremonial parts that use, any formal audiovisual or any of those things conclude by 7:30? And, it is in our vision to have a candlelight vigil to allow quiet, peaceful reflection, very similar to what's being done in New York. Is there no way for us to make an accommodation and work together in that way?
We've spoken about this many times. You know that is the issue. It's not, previous Board of Supervisors have granted us that every 5 years for the milestone anniversaries, this organization runs the Remembrance in Light candlelight ceremony. It is in the dark. It is when the sun sets, and it is the garden motto of after darkness light. The sun sets bringing in the darkness, and we throughout that ceremony bring in the light with prayer, with song, with light. And this is the 5th year. This is the big year. And our wishes are to have that ceremony. And that's what all of the letters from the 10 family members have said to you, that they wish for that ceremony. In fact, the one was read just tonight from a 9/11 widow who is Jewish in this community. She wants the night ceremony. I know you haven't ever been to it before, but it is very healing for a lot of the families and a lot of our community members. So that's why we don't want to acquiesce and have one it's in the afternoon, it's during light. It doesn't mean that it brings in from the darkness into the light.
I think all I'm asking for here, and I do appreciate that, and we have received all the letters, I will say we have heard directly from religious leaders within the community who have urged us to make a different decision than these religious leaders that you've provided have. We have also heard from a 9/11 family, a family who lost a family member on 9/11 who feels differently. We are trying our best to navigate the situation. Is it your statement then that your planned 7 p.m. ceremony that by sundown will transition to quiet reflection? Do you have I'm trying to find a way for you folks to be able to move forward with your ceremony. The easiest way for me to do that is if you're willing to advance your start time a little bit, make a promise to us that any formal large-scale ceremonial events using audiovisual, etc., will be concluded by sundown, and then you would be permitted to host a candlelight vigil, to host a period of quiet reflection amongst the families in the park. I'm trying to get us to that. I need something back.
Whoa, you need something back. Wow. Okay. It's very difficult to end at 7:30 when we're having people come earlier than that, and are going to have to come earlier just to even get in and park, that takes a long time, and I know you don't realize that, but people come an hour earlier to get in, to park, and actually get in. So they're going to be there for that amount of time, however it takes for them to get in, park, and actually get into the memorial. And then when it ends at 7:30 by this round, we have to then stop everything and then have them wait until about 8:15 till it's dark so that we can light a candle. It's unacceptable. This is setting up an event to fail. It's way too long for people to stay that amount of time. And then what do? Tell them, well, now everyone with the ceremony stopped, but now nobody make any noises. You can walk around, but you can't make any noises for 45 minutes.
I don't think I'm asking for people to remain silent for 45 minutes, but I appreciate you coming tonight and speaking before us and answering my questions. Thank you very much.
Okay, great. And we can continue this conversation. I've been trying to have a lot of other conversations, with Mr. Ross, with Dan Grenier, to make it through everyone, and nobody's really meeting, and everyone has said we need to meet at public meetings, and then we get 3-minute jaunts to try and express and go through this whole thing.
Thank you very much for your comment.
Okay.
Do we have anybody else in the room with public comment? We have a couple callers on the line, correct?
Yes, first caller will be Doug. Bring Doug in the room.
Yes, please.
Go ahead, Doug.
Doug, you there? Oh, might need to give Doug a moment.
He's in the room. Doug, hit *6 on your phone. We're going to take Doug out. We'll bring Fiona in.
Okay.
Okay, I am here now. I'm
Oh.
unmuted.
Well, we got Doug.
Okay, thank you very much for taking my question.
Yeah, no worries.
Doug Marshall.
Perfect. You got it.
Yeah, Doug Marshall, Lower Makefield Township. I had a question about the $15 million bond that was voted upon and passed by the residents here. I was at the Environmental Advisory Commission, and they advised me that apparently none of that money has been spent, although there is open space, which perhaps we could, spend that money on and purchase the development rights. And I just wanted to ask whether or not you're going to use that money and what the status of that is.
So I'm happy,
Our township manager can speak on that.
So Doug, first of all, just for clarity, the authorization as part of the ballot was a referendum permitting the incurrence of debt for up to $15 million for the purposes of acquisition of open space. The township has not borrowed at this point any of that $15 million, so that the authorization is valid for a 10-year period. What we have been doing is interacting with private property owners, trying to come to terms on the acquisition prior to incurring the cost associated with the issuance of that debt. So I just want to make sure you understand that there has not been $15 million of borrowing. There has been zero borrowing at this point. It is simply an authorization. The validity period for that authorization is 10 years post-action by the electorate. And again, we continue to actively work with private property owners that may be interested in selling their development rights or selling their property as part of open space acquisition. So again, at the end of the day, we're dependent upon private owners to agree to terms, those terms of which, in our case, as it relates to acquisition, are established by statute in part. So did that answer your question, or do you have any follow-up questions?
Yes. Thank you. That did answer my question, and I really appreciate what you're doing. So thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Take care.
The caller coming in is going to be Fiona, and Fiona's coming in the room. Go Go ahead, Fiona, you're with the board.
Hello? Might have another Doug situation.
And Fiona, hit star 6.
Okay. Oh, thank you.
Oh, there you are.
Okay, thank you. So, good evening. My name is Fiona Havlish. My husband was Don Havlish Jr., who I lost on 9/11 when we did live in Lower Makefield. I wrote a letter that was submitted to the Board of Supervisors on May 5th. I understand my letter supporting the Remembrance and Light ceremony may have been discounted because I live in Colorado now. I would ask you respectfully to reconsider that thinking. Yardley is definitely in my heart. Where I choose to live does not lessen my loss, nor does it lessen the importance of this memorial to my family. The Garden of Reflection was established by 9/11 families for remembrance, healing, and unity. It started as a small gathering for prayer after an extremely hard day on September 11th, 2002. And it brought peace. The connection we have to the community of Lower Makefield does not disappear because some of us now live in other states or countries. My daughter, who will be coming in from Germany, and I have planned this trip for months, specifically to attend ceremonies in the morning in New York, as we always have, and then travel to our hometown of Yardley for the 25th anniversary of the Remembrance and Light. This is not a casual visit, nor is it a vacation. It is an emotional journey tied to memory, grief, love, and remembrance. Like many other families, we planned our lives around being present for this important milestone anniversary. No was never part of the equation. We want to stand together with our other families, hear the peaceful reflections shared during the candlelight ceremony, and honor the people we lost in a meaningful and dignified way at the time we requested. I am sincerely asking the board to reconsider their present decision and allow the 9/11 families who choose to attend, the very people who this memorial was established by and for, to have this time to grieve, remember, and heal without further delay, conflict, or heartache. 25 years later, why are we still having to fight to simply gather in remembrance of our loved ones? Thank you for listening.
Thank you for your comment. All right, is that,
We have one more caller.
sure, bring them on in.
Caller, you're with the board. Caller, you hit star 6.
You there, caller? Well, he just did that in the back. Yeah.
But if you missed it, you can hit star 6.
Tracy, can you hear us, Tracy?
I think there's a pattern forming.
Yeah, Tracy, star 6.
Hello?
Hey, Tracy.
There you go.
We got you.
Oh, great. Okay, hi. So my name is Tracy, and I'm a resident of the township, and I'm phoning in regarding the pending issue with the evening service for 9/11. I was at the World Financial Center at 9/11, and I am a Jewish resident with a direct personal connection to that day. And I echo the previous speakers, and I strongly support the families in holding the Remembrance and Light ceremony in the evening, beginning at 7 p.m. or at sunset. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment.
That was the last online call.
That was the last one? Okay. All right, moving on to agenda item number 6, consent agenda.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the consent agenda items as listed in the agenda.
I'll second.
All right, any questions from the board? Any questions from the public? All right, with that, I'll call the motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Oh,
Oh.
totally forgot you were there, Dan. All right, with that, the motion carries 5-0. All right, item 7, community development.
Yes, Mr. Chair, members of the board. This item, the applicant for this project is granted an extension of time for the township to consider action on the plan. The extension has been granted through August the 15th of 2026. We would look for a motion to acknowledge the grant of extension of time by the applicant.
Mr. Chair, I move that we grant an extension of time to the applicant to August 15th, as requested by the applicant for the land development plan at Farms Edge at Shady Brook Access Roadway.
I'll second.
All right, any questions from the board?
Have they not changed it? They still want to have that four-way intersection, or?
Yeah, the configuration is coming out to the existing signalized access point on Stony Hill Road.
Okay.
They are going through and cleaning up some of the review comments from both the township engineer and township traffic engineer. Their interest is obviously, satisfying those requirements, clarifying those obligations prior to being before this body for action.
Could we remind them that they called me and asked me my opinion, and to remind them that I had requested that they add about 10% more farmland for our, if we're giving something, they need to as well. I mean, life is a two-way street.
Okay, we can convey that. Yep, you're welcome.
Mr. Chair, if I can ask the township manager a question real quick.
Sure.
My understanding is that the township engineer has issued an extensive review letter with several comments. Some of them, in my read of it, are pretty fundamental to the design and layout. One of them, which is the single needing more than one means of ingress egress from the area. Do we know if they have any intent to comply with all comments, or are they going to ask for waivers from various saldo requirements?
They have not communicated, whether there's going to be formal waiver requests or not at this point. So I'm not able to represent that or communicate that at this point.
Understood. Thank you.
If I could just,
Absolutely.
Very quickly, that element of an additional egress is an important one for public safety reasons, and also the township has previously faced litigation when we didn't offer a number of egresses in the correct manner under in theory, the perceived international fire code that occurred after the approval of the thing, so that we do risk some blowback from folks, and also too, the presentation had a picture of Neshaminy High School on it, and that shouldn't be allowed. So please make sure that is not provided when they seek preliminary, but not final approval. And shout out to both engineers, but the Pannoni one was also extraordinarily detailed as well, so thank you.
It was. All right. Any questions from the public? All right, with that, I'll call the motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. All right, moving on to manager's report.
Just one note, Mr. Chair, the engineer's report is in your packet, and I don't know if anybody has any questions on that.
I totally forgot that. Yep. Number 8, engineer's report. It's in our packet. Does anybody have any questions on the engineer's report? All right. Anything from the public? All right. With that, we're now going to go to the manager's report. Number 9.
Sounds good. Mr. Chair, members of the board, the first item is to authorize the final release of the financial security or bond associated with phases 4 and 5, the Regency at Yardley South project. I believe it was last meeting you had taken, it was either last meeting or the meeting prior, you had taken action to authorize a partial release. Part of the justification for that partial release had to do with permitting additional time to demonstrate the function of the facilities that were installed as part, the stormwater management facilities that were installed as part of phases 4 and 5 of this project. Subsequent to that meeting, there was an additional significant rainfall. There was an inspection following that rainfall, and we are confident that those facilities have been installed consistent with the approved plan. I know there are members from the Regency at Yardley HOA. We've here tonight, we've interacted with them. It is my understanding that they also share that opinion that these facilities are functioning as intended, and are not objecting to the release this evening.
Okay. With that, is there a motion?
Before there's a motion, is there remaining funds on the Regency?
There is in other phases of the project. Phases 1 and 2, I believe, there's remaining security that's securing those improvements.
How much is that roughly? Is it greater than 50,000?
I believe. So, yes,
that is more than 50,000.
It's in excess
That would
of
be more than
50,000,
50,000,
yes.
okay.
Yep.
So for the record, there was comment from the audience from Regency at Yardley. They believe there's 177,000.
Yeah.
All right.
Before I make the motion to release, let the record reflect that I'm not allowed to use a word beginning in M, and that
That's cold, John. That's cold.
And I'm not allowed to say that word, so I will refer to it. I'm not allowed to say a lot of words, but that one I'm not allowed to say. But I want the folks at the company that did build Regency to understand that this release tonight does not indicate that I've given up on collecting monies that the township has outlaid to protect the people of Regency. And so let the lawyer for that company know that tonight's release is not. I will use the M word. I'm not allowed to use the S word, too. The governor can say it, but not me. But with that, I'll make a motion to authorize the final release of the bond associated with phases 4 and 5 of the Regency at Yardley South, and remind those folks that I'm not done collecting on the money associated with the work that we did for the M word issue.
Do I have a second?
Sorry, is that part of the formal motion?
Yes.
I second the motion, I suppose.
All right.
If
Is
there's
there-
a little discussion, I agree with our Vice Chair, Mr. Lewis, that the word that, the RM word, because remember the color, should never be said again, but we have to make sure, we spent a lot of money when I was on the board before, and I think that the township deserves to be reimbursed for that.
All right. Any questions from the public? All right. With that, I'll call the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you very much. The next item is consider authorizing the acceptance of a proposal from ASK Technologies for the server and SAN project here at the township. There are a number of staff members here from ASK. If Steve and team, if you wouldn't mind coming up for purposes of presentation, that would be helpful.
Well, all right. You could sit. You could stand. It's up to you.
Thank you for having us. I'm Steve Paroli. I'm one of the founders of ASK Technologies. I'm also a resident of Lower Makefield Township since 1999. So I have a vested interest in seeing this project.
If you can just talk into the mic.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It
So I have a
moves.
vested interest in seeing this project, kick off successfully and at the best possible cost that we can supply it for. I also have a couple other gentlemen with me. Anthony Tolada, also one of the founders of ASK. Anthony handles sales and operations. I wanted you guys to meet Devin. Devin is your lead technical support here, maybe a familiar face. Devin said to me when we walked in, I feel like I was just here 2 hours ago. I said, well, you were here just 2 hours ago. Also via Zoom, I believe, is Jose Maldonado, who I believe you met before. Jose is trapped down in Virginia on an appointment this week and would not have made it up in time for the meeting. I think he's online.
Yes, I'm here.
Say hi, Jose.
Good evening.
So, Dave, I don't know where you would like us to start. If we're going to have questions or?
Yeah, I mean, we all reviewed the proposal.
Okay.
We just, and you spoke with John and us.
Yep.
David gave you some questions that we had. One was about the memory, and then one was also, since we did look in and it looks like we can have some sort of government pricing from Dell, what your thoughts on that were?
Well, the memory was a good question. We actually looked at that early on, and the way it works is the more DIMMs that you have in a server, so memory is comprised of DIMMs, right, DIMM chips. The more DIMMs you have on the server, the faster the server operates. So it's actually called a channel population issue. We're looking at either 16 32 gigabyte DIMMs or 8 64 gigabyte DIMMs. 864 is going to be cheaper, but it's less DIMMs. So what that creates is a bottleneck. Think of it between the difference between a 2-lane highway and a 6-lane highway. The more highways you have, the more traffic can flow through the system. The memory responds much faster. When the memory has to write back on itself and read from itself, as it would under the 8 SIMs at 64 gigs apiece, that's where the contention comes in, the performance contention. So I know we can save a little money by going with the 864s rather than the 1632s, and it's a great question, but I wouldn't want to see compromised performance to save a few bucks. Now, this is $10,000.
Just to let you know, $10,000 is not a few bucks. That's $10,000.
Well, it would affect performance. So
Yeah.
the trade-off there is not just.
Well, what are we talking about? 1%, 80%?
That's what I was wondering.
That's a hard question to answer.
You
Go ahead.
probably would see a decrease in performance about 15%, just because, especially with the police department, they have some more straining apps on the server. They're also using virtual sessions to use in the cars, so the police would be most affected by the performance.
And then also, the equipment that we have, do you have the specs on the equipment
do.
that we currently have?
Yep. Yep, we do. And Deb, you can describe these, what we have on this current servers.
So current configuration on the current VX Rail, your current CPU sockets, you have about 6. You peaked at around 97 gigahertz with a total of 151. So you're getting up there in usage of the CPU. For capacity, you guys are running really low at about 9 terabytes free, 10 terabytes free. You need room for growth as you know the police department adds more cars for the VM sessions or any other servers that may come up with that, or even on the admin side for app servers or file servers. For peak memory usage, you guys got up to 495 gigabytes between the nodes. So that's why we're calling for 1 terabyte of RAM. Total memory on there is also 1 terabyte, so it's going to match.
And Dell ran a series of performance software on the servers here called Dell Live Optics. And what it does is it shows Dell everything the servers are doing over the course of a 4 to 5 day period. Based on that, they come up with a configuration. And to answer your question, yes, they did say to us, well, look, we can get away a little cheaper with the 8, but you're kind of compromising performance there. You know, putting a nice machine in here, we'd hate to be dogged or slowed down from the memory itself. And that's our concern there with the memory. As far as the government pricing goes, you know, you can go direct with Dell. We have a deal registration with Dell, which gives us very high discount levels to pass back to Lower Makefield Township. So if you go to Dell and you get a quote from them, you know, you'll see the numbers will be substantially higher than what we are proposing for the same configuration. So we did look into that just to make sure we weren't too high on any of the pricing. We are very sharp with our pencil, and it's provided to you a very substantial discount, both the services and the hardware itself. I know the concern is 2 versus 1 server. The township has a lot of requirements, and doing it on 1 server scares us. The reason it scares us is because in a situation where the server is a physical server which has a bunch of virtual servers running on it, 2 scenarios. One of those server VMs fails. The virtual machine fails. In the 2 server scenario, that server automatically moves over to the server that's up. You continue operations without a hiccup. If the entire server fails under the 2 server scenario, one of the servers goes away, this server is running. And I think one of the questions, well, how's it going to support all the applications? It only has 512 of RAM. It will be speed degraded. You will have a little slowness going on. We call that limp along mode. We would expect that. We have redundant servers. We can't afford to have them completely redundant where everything, all apps can run on one server at one time. It's just cost prohibitive. But what we do have is to run it over on the second server that's up and running if the first server would fail. At that point, if the servers are slow, which we expect them, they're going to be somewhat painful, we don't have to limit any users or limit any applications. You have a dado in place, we'll spin up the dado and move some of the applications to the dado. It's more of a manual process, but you're operating that whole time. You're not experiencing any downtime. With the single server configuration, a little bit different. Scenario one of the VMs fails. It's not automatic, calls placed to Devin. Devin connects up or comes and brings that server up live on the dado. So you figure a 2 to 3 hour window before we can get that server up again. But it's fully backed up, and it's a matter of turning it on, setting it up, changing the IPs, and allowing the users to connect. That same scenario happens if the server takes a hit, the entire server goes down. Now we don't have much. We have a dado in place that will not support all the servers running on the single option 2 server. So we'd have to pick and choose users. It's not the optimal solution by any means. We'd have to pick and choose our users, pick and choose our applications. Not everyone will be able to run at once. We'd have to give, Dev, correct me if I'm wrong, I guess preference to the police department.
Yeah, so the critical infrastructure will stay up and running on the data, so we'll be able to run all the servers on there. For the police department, their virtual machines that they use to connect in the cars, they'll have to go into a manual setup, like taking notes manually, pen and paper, come back into the office, and then do their notes on their computers in the office.
And not that's necessarily a bad thing. I mean, okay, that you go down, you expect to have a hiccup, and maybe they have to do manual processes for a few hours. But it still concerns us because this server is going to be down. And we only have one server, so that means we're trying to run everything on this data. It's not sized to run everything. It would be a lot more money. Again, getting into the cost prohibitive area of putting in a data equal to the server, you might as well just put in a second server. So that's what we struggled with. Best practice, is the dual servers with the SAN, with the failover to the data. So we have a layer of failover between the servers. If it's a major hit and one of the servers can't take the whole load of this.
Steve, if you could just make sure you're talking
I
into the mic.
keep moving over.
We all do it. We all do it.
All right.
Or just hold it. Just be share.
Yeah, that's it. It would move over. It would be more painful in the single server scenario compared to the dual server scenario. That's our concerns.
All right, thank you. Me personally, I would just like to see if we can get some sort of government pricing, just to get a couple options, just so the public knows, like this is $232,000. So I just want to make sure the township's making the right decision and look into it, because
Exactly.
it is a big investment.
Anthony, we could reach out to Dell for that, right?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
We could do that for you tomorrow when we get back to the office.
Well, we should, does CoStars have like
Yes,
a
CoStars.
pre-published?
So, Derek, if you could come up, I know he's.
Yeah. Come on up, Derek.
Yeah. I will say I spent 15 years selling technology to governments, and I absolutely understand how deal registration pricing can bring you in lower than the catalog, 100%. I have no doubt. It'd be nice to double check and just
On the
make sure.
CoStars, yep. Usually we don't participate in CoStars, but we do see that CoStars, from what we see, CoStars pricing is a once-a-year contract. So whoever quotes that has to live or die by that for an entire year. So it's always higher than what you would expect, just because they're protecting themselves. So our idea with CoStars is unless there's something we're missing on the back end, it's not worth it for the customer because we can provide a better price with deal registration. Now, if we don't have a deal registration, different story. But with Lower Makefield, we do.
Do you want to speak on the?
Sure. So I would just to give you a context. So there's two ways to go. So you do have CoStars. CoStars, the current CoStars vendor that has the Dell contract, because I just looked it up, is Pomeroy Technologies out of Kentucky. And their pricing for Dell, listed in their CoStars contract, is supplier cost plus percentage markup 15%. So they will take a Dell quote and put 15% on it, not reduce it. That is the CoStars vendor that has Dell. The other option is Sourcewell, who is the CDWG or Connect IT, whatever they go by, depending on what you're buying. Theirs is not published, but we can reach out to them. We do have a contact there. Their published rates are not published in their contract, so we can absolutely do that.
Yeah, and the CoStarz people are very.
Yeah, Dan.
Sorry.
No.
So, Derek, is there an opportunity if we were to, I've always looked at Ask as our IT consultant, if we were to spec out something and the township contacted Dell directly as a purchaser, to not have to deal with any markup, 15% or otherwise? Could we buy direct as a municipality?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
That would most likely be cheaper than going through what Derek's looking at.
Correct. Yeah.
And if you want to do that, please feel free. You could take our quote, black out the pricing. You'll have it configured.
Steve, you're going to have to get close to the mic.
I'm sorry. Black out our quote, send it to Dell, take the name off the top, and you call and just say, I need a quote on this server.
To your point, that's, I think that's the easiest way to verify pricing, right? Is to
validate it,
do
sure.
something just like that, give a call,
Yep.
and if they say, yeah, we'll give you a better deal, then that's probably what we'd want to go with, potentially. And if they say we can't, then there you go. Am I missing something, or am I oversimplifying?
No. I mean, you're absolutely right.
Yep, not from this side.
Okay. And I get for the Ask folks, maybe Derek, but probably for the Ask folks, Devin especially, are we running anything that is inefficient or we shouldn't be running from an app perspective that is putting too much stress on the system that we could reduce to make it a little bit more fail-safe? Have you done an audit similar to that?
So when we came in about a year ago, we already did a phase 1 and 2 approach on trying to get the performance better on the servers. A big chunk of that was that both sides, admin and police, were running on virtual sessions for every single user. So in those 2 phases, we ended up getting rid of those, and we cleared out as much as we could in terms of like strain on the server. So what you guys have now is pretty much as good as it's going to get on its current configuration. There's not really much more that we can take out or do to free up space or make this a little cheaper.
How about on the application?
Okay. And then in terms of usable life of the existing, this is sort of out of budget season planning. So it's a bit of a hit, obviously, as I think the chair was saying. In the middle of the year when we weren't planning for it, is there, what's the risk if we waited some time to make sure that it was in the budget? And I'll say, I don't want to say better plan for it because that sounds like, but is more clearly in the budget as a line item moving forward. What's our risk there if we waited?
If I may, this is Jose Maldonado, the VCIO with Lower Makefield and ASK Technologies. So there is a really big risk because currently right now, the servers that are sitting in your server room have no warranty, no support. You're a single hardware failure away from major disaster. And that's what we're wanting to prevent and looking to
just to elaborate on that, Jose, this is Steve Perley speaking again. The other thing that concerns us is not only that there's no maintenance, the servers are quite old, there's no support from Dell. The other issue is the backups. The backup system you have, we are unable to validate, A, that all the servers are being backed up, and B, the ones that are being backed up successfully. There's no backup going off-site. So everything is contained here. So if this building were to take a hit and the server were to take a hit, that's a scary proposition. We're losing everything. That's backups.
No, yeah.
So that is the sort of fire that's kind of got us moving quickly on this. We're hoping to do it last year, but I don't believe it was in the budget at the end of last year. So we were debating whether or not to look at the maintenance renewal. The maintenance renewals were just $70,000, $80,000. For, I think it was next day support. So that would be an option, although it's kind of, to me, throwing good money after bad.
Well, so to your point, in terms of options, right? When I think, I'm not an IT guy, but I work for an engineering firm. We have a lot of IT backup systems. Is there, did you look at the option of, it sounds like there's possibly, because these are systems that last, what, 4 or 5 years generally before you turn them over and get something new?
Yeah, 4 to 5 years is a good. I mean, the mean rate of failure on the drives is 5 years, but that's been increased now with SSDs, which are non-moving disk drives.
Right.
So we get some extended time. Right now, you don't have those. You have the old-fashioned spinning drives, which is part of the contention, the performance contention we have. What we did.
So
sorry.
Very quickly. I appreciate what you're saying. I actually love SSDs for myself. No, in terms of different options to acquire, let's put it that way, is there a long-term, let's say, lease option that also provides support over that same time period during your lease?
Yes.
Versus a purchase where you only get support during the warranty, so that maybe we're continuously updating in a lease, but we're making other decisions if we're just purchasing. And how do they differ if those options exist?
Before you answer, I just want to point out, Dan, these quotes do include 5 years prepaid support from Dell. So that is included in the cost that we're looking at, is Dell support over the life, the projected service life.
Thank you.
Right. Are those just purchases, or are those lease?
I mean, essentially, they're functioning as lease purchases under sort of both scenarios, both the Dell scenario, the Dell financing scenario, and then also the Bancorp financing scenario. Again, the duration of the payment is being spread over the support period of 60 months. But again, I would expect that within 60 months, you're essentially, you may get another year or two, but not long after that, you're gonna be doing it again. So that's in part, in the
Is there a
interest.
lease only option, Dave, or is it just lease purchase?
I mean, I think they essentially look at almost as the functionality of those things over a lease term, or that they're obsolete at the conclusion of a lease. So it's not a straight sort of lease in the sense that you return and there's still utility to it. I mean, they're viewing it as your financing is matching.
A bank does not want a hard drive back after a police department has run it 24/7.
So the Dell leasing numbers we provided with and without ASK services include a $1 buyout on the lease. So at the end of the lease, exchange $1 and you retain the equipment. The other thing I wanted to make is we're also, and Jose's working on this with Devin, looking at cloud options, different types of cloud options. Right now, you're not in position to go to the cloud, but we want to get you to the cloud, at least for certain applications like the admin side, file server side. Police, and a little bit different on the police side, but just because of the CGIS requirements and whatnot that we're under the guise of, because we're accredited PD. So something else to think about is going forward after that 5-year period, we should be, within that 5-year period, we should be eliminating some of the load off the server and slowly moving things to the cloud. At least for the admin and
Yeah, so I have no reason to doubt the technical configuration that you folks are proposing, right? But on your point of migrating to the cloud, we talked about over-speccing the current hardware to account for growth.
Right.
But if what you're saying is that we should be planning not for growth, but for offloading services, should we perhaps reconsider speccing the amount of storage and processor power that we're starting with over the gate and setting a path to say over the next 24 months, let's migrate everything that isn't policing to the cloud?
Problem with that
was
is,
already.
Go ahead, Jose.
So we already, that was part of the consideration when we spec'd this out. You still need resources available to what we call go hybrid. Devin and I, when we were looking at this and sitting together with Dell, had that same concern. Like, we don't want to put too much growth into it, because obviously our plan is to put as much cloud as possible. So yeah, we did spec with that in consideration.
there's not a lot of fat resource-wise built into this proposal.
Oh, I know, but we're also buying hard drives at a time when global hard drive supply is heavily constrained, right? So we're buying RAM and hard drives at the top of the RAM and hard drive market when anyone who has a chip fab on this planet is spinning up more capacity to build RAM, right? So, and I don't want to choke any of this township's resources up front, but it is reasonable to suspect that 12 months from now, we'd probably be able to purchase RAM or hard drives at a lower market price than we are able to today. It's a reasonable, certainly it could go the other way, but it is a reasonable expectation given what we know about, fabrication capacity increasing right now.
In conversations with Dell today, just to elaborate on it a little further, we don't really hear them say this much, but we got a guarantee out of them that July 1 prices are going up across the board. And of course, we're like, we need a refresh on this quote because they're holding the quotes for 10 days for us, right, Anthony?
About 10 days. 10
Yeah, the validity period on this quote is through the 8th of July, or I'm sorry, 8th of June, rather.
Yeah, and I will say, so Dell is a major supplier to the company I work for professionally. We see the exact same things. So I understand.
Okay.
I understand the exact pressures that we're under on timing.
When we spec'd out the hard drives, it's why we didn't use SSDs across the board.
Right.
So SSDs are only for core, and then we went with the cheaper option for the data collection, just because we had in mind that we were going to be moving things to the cloud.
They call that near online storage versus production. So production has the
Correct.
SSDs, near online storage a little less. We can get a little lower price with the different type of hard drives. So it's a mixed community of hard drives living in what's called your SAN, which is your attached.
So for the purposes of moving the discussion along a hair, and this might not fly with the rest of the board, but so are we looking at one of the lease options, not one of the outright purchase, right? We'd be looking at either the Dell or the Bank Corp lease purchasing option?
Well, me personally, because I just ran the numbers real quick, to do the Dell lease adds $39,993.20 to the overall purchase price, making it go from $232,000 to $272,000. So in my mind, that doesn't seem worth paying $40,000 extra for. Run the numbers on the Bank Corp, but the Bank Corp is a lot higher than just purchasing it outright.
So your argument would be to just purchase outright, spend the...
Correct.
Okay. Dave, would that be your recommendation if you were to recommend something?
We have the capacity to do that. That's fine. And surely, as the chair noted, you're going to save money because you're not incurring the financing costs associated with that.
But a lot of that is not within the budget for this year for IT spend.
That is correct. So as I indicated in, I think, an email that I had sent, that we would be utilizing some available bond proceeds that again, are on hand and should be spent here shortly. So there is financial resource that's available in the event.
And are those funds were they not otherwise obligated to projects this year?
They have not been obligated to projects thus far.
So if we were to move forward on this purchase, in order to remain at the budget level we are, just to ask the question 7 ways to make sure I'm 100%, we would not have to cut other spending or programs from the township over the remaining fiscal year.
That is correct, yes.
Okay. So I'm going to put forward a motion that subject...
Can I move to
Yes.
table until we get until our township staff are able to look at the municipal direct purchase cost for comparison?
Dan, you can. Let me complete my motion if you wouldn't be...
I'll finish. That's my motion. I
Great.
just made the motion.
Perfect. There is a motion on the table, though I was starting one, so the motion on the table takes precedence, Mr. Chair.
Can we just hear Colin's proposed motion quick? Are you okay with that, Dan?
Well, I feel like we're going to be talking around this a lot without having all the information to make a fully informed decision.
I agree. I agree entirely. I've been all over these numbers.
Yeah.
So are you okay with just hearing Colin's motion? He's not going to make it. He's just going to say a proposed theoretical motion.
I think under Robert's rules, I cannot actually make it.
I think
He
I think at
loves
this
quick
point
meetings,
you're...
but I'll let you go.
Board meetings more often. These are a lot of fun. If I remember my Robert's rules, you can't make a motion, but you can make a comment.
Can you make a comment about a theoretical
That-
possible motion?
The motion that I would have put forward, had I been permitted to complete the sentence I had began,
Allegedly.
was that we move to authorize the township to execute this, this quote from ASK Technologies, subject to obtaining 2 alternate quotes for the Dell configuration that demonstrate that this is the best market price available to us, which would allow the township to act before the expiration of the quote on June 8th and any potential price increases, and gives us pricing support on the items that ASK has put before us. That would have been my motion.
Theoretically. Dan, what are your thoughts on your motion and Colin's theoretical motion?
I don't like making big money decisions without having all the information, and I don't feel that we have all the information. So I would like to have the information, and if it comes back the way, if it comes, one way versus another, then we can make a decision based off of that.
All right, so with that, our next meeting would be 2 weeks from now. Is this price still good 2 weeks from now?
No.
It expires on the 8th, correct?
Correct.
So we would have to requote on the 8th from Dell. Just we had to do from the 26th to the 8th, 26th of May when we presented to the, and again, there was no change from the 26th until the recent quote we have, which now holds us to the 8th. So I'm not expecting any changes on the one on the 8th, but we do take that chance.
All right, and is staff able to get, do you think staff would be able to get 2 quotes before the 8th?
I would have no doubt that we would have the ability to either do the, either Sourcewell, CoStars,
And direct.
and or the direct. So yeah, we.
I mean, they probably, to be honest, I'm sure Dell will type in the word Lower Makefield and our quote is probably already in there, because that's probably how they build it for
how they do
us. Correct, and they'll just hit print, so.
You'll see a bunch of them, tons of different, but.
Correct,
Yeah.
like they probably already have it in their system.
Yes, they do. They will. You can call yourself, Derek.
Yeah.
So I would be okay with the theoretical motion, Dan, if you were willing to withdraw your table motion.
I think when it comes to purchases through outside, where we're purchasing through outside consultants, I think we need to develop a policy that says we always have staff checked for municipal pricing from direct purchase.
I would
think
agree with that.
I think we should have done that.
That's fine. I mean, just so you're aware, we did engage in these conversations as part of the original review of the proposal from ASK. So I don't want you to think that we just simply took this proposal without having those same questions posed directly to ASK about the potential to purchase direct. But we can independently verify what was communicated in the course of those conversations.
Dave, just knowing how this piece of the business works, Dell will not give a direct quote at a lower price than ASK. If ASK has a registered price, like they're literally not going to. So if we wanted, we could discuss a different policy for, multiple quotes. But anyways.
Yeah, I just wanted to convey that we did ask these
just
questions.
flavor.
It wasn't,
Yep.
we didn't just simply take this from ASK and put it before you.
Yep.
You there, Dan?
But yeah, we're happy to purchase, or we're happy to price through Sourcewell, which again is non-published. It sounds as though on the CoStars you're going to have list price plus a margin. But again, we can go through the exercise of doing that.
That's protection against the price increases I was talking about. That's how they do it.
And I have to tell you, I'm concerned about a price increase with what has been between now and the last, let's say, month or so.
So are we. So are we.
I mean, that's a concern that I have.
Right now, we're locked in till the 8th, and
Yeah.
we can't really see past.
No, you can't.
And neither can Dell, which is scary. And which not Dell.
When did you get the quote?
26th of May, we had it refreshed. We had it 10 days before that, brought it in, presented it to Dave and Derek. And on I forget what the cutoff date, I think it was the 26th, that expired. We had them refresh the quote again, and that's the quote you have in front of you, which is good until the 8th of June. And on the 8th of June,
So the
we'll-
quotes are generally good for 2 weeks, is it plus or minus?
10 days, yes. That's correct.
Yeah, so I think you were on the 13th of May, is my recollection, in anticipation for potential action at the last meeting. It was requested to be removed from the agenda the last meeting, and then they went back and did a refresh on the
Yes.
on the 26th of May.
Yes. And we could do another refresh. That's not a problem for us. It's just a little concerned about the pricing, any pricing, because it's out of our control. It's not something that we could influence one way or the other. So,
Sorry, a question on the RAM, if I may.
Sure.
The discussion is whether we're doing 16 units of
32.
16 units of 32 gigabyte.
Or 8 of 64.
or 8 of 64.
Mm-hmm.
What is the capacity for total RAM DIMMs of the server? Is it 16? Is it 32?
1 terabyte per server.
Right, but the total number of
How many slots?
How many DIMM slots do we have?
At least 16.
Well, yeah, you would have 32.
Okay, so if we wanted to reduce the price today and we wanted to go with 8 sets of 64.
Yep.
And 3 years from now, when any bottleneck is theoretically likely to rear its head, expand then, right?
Add memory.
We would be able to add memory at
You would.
that time.
You would.
And what is the contributing cost of are you able to tell me what just the 864s costs?
I don't actually know offhand, but I know there was a $5,000 difference between the 8.
Supervisor Ross tells me it's 9,000.
Yeah, the difference is $9,439.68.
Yeah.
All right.
If we want to get technical.
So if there's not, is there a second for Supervisor Grenier's motion? Okay. So I will move that we authorize township staff to execute on the quote from ASK Technologies, subject to a change in the configuration to 8 DIMMs of 64 gigabytes of RAM.
Okay.
And subject to the township staff finding 2 additional quotes for the same configuration of hardware from other vendors, which supports the hardware price presented by ASK Technologies as the least cost technically acceptable for this project.
I'll second that motion.
All right, now that there's a motion on the table that is official and not theoretical, is there any questions from the board?
So, Mr. Chair, I just want to make sure I understood the motion, sorry. If the township staff come back with a different price or lower price than what ASK is putting out there right now, then they would be subject to use that lowest price, correct?
Correct.
Well, the shape of the motion is that there's not authorization to purchase. The shape of the motion is they can execute on the ASK bid, subject to the fact that we're able to find support through 2 other independent quotes that ASK is offering the best price on the hardware. If not, this comes back before the board.
I like that better.
Yeah, no offense to ASK, but if someone comes back and says it's $17,000 for all this hardware, which it won't be, we will have a much longer discussion at a public meeting.
Supervisor Coyle, because ASK would have to modify their proposal at that point to just have professional services. So to your point, if we do find one, we'd have to bring it back.
Okay, and did we look at any other providers besides Dell as for potential servers?
We did. IBM is much pricier. I mean, we do like HP. We do quite a bit with HP, but I would say over the last 5 years, HP support has really taken a negative turn. I mean, I hear it from our technical folks that, you're on a call for a customer, we're open a call on a server. HP's goal is to do whatever they could do not to send someone on site. So they run the customer through gyrations, they run us through unnecessary gyrations, and their support is not that good. It's sort of like the shore, different towns change different times. HP is sort of in a downswing right now support-wise, unless you're talking switches and wireless access points, but their servers and their PCs, not so great. Dell is sort of eating everyone's lunch, both from a pricing and a support standpoint. And most of their equipment is make to order, so we can order what the customer needs rather than what HP is pushing us to sell the customer. That helps.
It does, because it shows our residents that we're not only looking at different prices amongst Dell, but we're looking at different providers to make sure we've done all the due diligence necessary to justify the purchase. That's what I'm getting at.
Yep.
All right, any other questions from the board?
One last question,
Absolutely.
I promise. You indicated in your motion it's option 2 then? With
Option 1, I think it was.
option 1 then?
So that-
It is, yes, to be clear, it is option 1 with the alternate proposed RAM configuration.
Okay.
In the 864 versus.
Okay. Yep. Okay.
We'll send that back to Dell tomorrow and get that back over to you guys.
And is there any
Leasing as well.
questions from the public? Oh, come on up.
Sorry, you'll have to
You
speak
just-
at a microphone, say your name, introduce you're the member of the township. Hit the button to turn, get the green light and speak into the mic. Take a seat.
Hi, I was here for something else, but I'm just wondering why this is happening mid-year. Like why this purchase is, I'm sure there's a good reason, but
Well, we
is the
had,
server down?
Would you mind stating your name and whether or not you're resident? of the
Sorry, I'm
township?
Dakota DiMatteo. I'm a member of Lower Makefield.
Thank you.
yep, that's all you had. So we actually have it in the budget to do a server upgrade, and we had roughly $100,000.
Yeah.
But when we quoted it out, when they started quoting it out, because this is around the time we were planning on doing it, it went way higher. So that's why instead of normally something like this, if we put it in the budget for, let's say, 100K, and it comes back at 90K when we quote it out, we just put it on a consent agenda because we already talked about it, we already budgeted. But since this amount came out so much higher, that's why it was going to be on the last meeting, but it was so high that we actually wanted to search some options and really dig into it to see where we could save some money and check other options. So that's,
Okay, cool.
yeah, that's why it's on here, because we really wanted to dig into this and make sure that this is our best option and that we're saving township residents the most money we can.
And also, too, I think we wanted to have a lively debate on the structure of DIM RAM and relative speed in servers.
We have not considered Sims. We could consider Sims. We'd have to get a time machine, but.
Yeah, we'd have to be in 1987 for that.
Yeah, way back, way back.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks. I'm glad.
I do thank you for the question. It is a good question to ask. Yeah.
And if anybody was wondering, I think it was it SIP before SIM? The one with the pins.
Or dim, wasn't it?
No, it was SIP, then SIM. He's too young for that question.
Yeah.
Ask the tech guys.
Yeah. All right. Any other questions?
I just have one clarifying question on the motion as well.
Yes, please.
So are you also authorizing the purchase of, right, the purchase as opposed to the lease purchase of this equipment in the event that?
That is correct. The exact term I used was the execution of the quote from ask, which is a purchase quote, right?
It does incorporate Dell financing as well.
Do I need to withdraw?
No, that's fine. I just want, your clarification is sufficient.
Yeah,
I just want to make sure that that's.
It would be the purchase option, which would save the township over 5 years, $39,993.20.
Okay.
Saving is saving.
Yeah.
Thank you all.
All right.
All right.
Is everybody set? Does anybody have anything else to say before we do the motion? All right. With that, I'll call the motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Dan, you there?
You hear me?
Were you a yay or a nay?
That's not even funny.
Or an abstention?
Abstain.
Okay. Motion passes 4 and 1 abstention. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, moving on to item 10, Parks and Rec and Public Works. Project update and discussion, Memorial Park Phase 3 project.
Come on up, Will.
Good evening, everybody. We got homework too.
Do you have enough, or Will, or you good? Okay, all right, sounds good.
Yes. Can't hurt. In case we have technical difficulties.
Thank you very much.
going to be just 2 sheets of the plans, and most important sheets. And it's going to be the cost estimate, which we have a quote for.
Yeah, I didn't get the spreadsheet.
I've noted that pricey, but there's something about them. Pass it on mine.
All right, with that, I'll let you kick it off. Great. My name is Will Daggett. I work with Carroll Engineering, and I've been working with Lower Makefield Township on the Memorial Park project. It's gone through a few iterations. The latest iteration was after our meeting with the Parks and Rec Board, and we took their considerations and incorporated them into the plan. The major considerations were for shade structures to be added. There is a lack of shade out there, as is known. So we've incorporated 4 shade structures, and then they wanted to get rid of the metal benches for heat concerns. So we moved to a recycled plastic bench. We did look at alternatives for wood and recycled plastic, and based on experts' opinion, talking with the playground providers, the equipment providers, just a lot less maintenance with the recycled plastic, longevity, warranties, involved with that end. But, we can, if necessary, adjust as needed. Kind of going over the plan again, we have a nice rendering on the sheets and a nice rendering up on the screen. And this is going to, it's not an exact match. The colors aren't going to be quite as vibrant. It's going to match, the surfacing is going to match the existing Secret Garden Playground. It's going to be installed by the same installer that did the Secret Garden Playground. And then we have several pieces of equipment, and they're going to be purchased from Play World directly by the township to avoid a sales tax of 6%. So we've looked into several options there versus CoStars. Well, it is from CoStars, but purchasing from the KPN network, because we're working with SJ Thomas, SJT is for short, and they are going to do the construction install of the bathroom, and then a couple, other ancillary features to the project, versus they're kind of separate from the playground portion. So we do have our bathroom, which I just brought up. There is a nice detail on the plan sheet, and it's going to be have the adult changing station within the bathroom we've all discussed. There's going to be 2 of them, 1 in each stall. There's going to be 2 separate stalls and a utility room. The bathroom technically is 4-season, but I would imagine since the park typically shuts it down, it would be shut down. There's just a small heater in all 3 rooms.
We winterize bathrooms, right?
We typically have winterized bathrooms in the past. I mean, to William's point, this one would have a capability of remaining open because it does have heaters, and the lines will be installed to
Yep. So we'll have all utilities installed as well with this, and those are shown on the plan. For the bathrooms, a nice walkway connects, the other walking paths as well as the park center. It will be fully accessible. For the continuing on the bathroom, there will be a bathroom on the west side of the park.
Enclosure.
East side of the park, and that's going to just be an enclosure, and then we're going to have 2 portable restrooms over there, 1 ADA and 1 non-ADA for the the pickleball tennis court users over there, just to give them something as well so they don't have to walk all the way over. And that will be fully enclosed with a fence and landscape screening as well on there. Back to the the west side, the equipment, we have 1 large structure with a couple slide features, climbing features. We've gone through iterations with the playground providers, installers, and this is a great option at a great cost. We got another swing feature, so it's going to have 4 your typical swings, and it's going to have 1 large round swing, kind of the one where the kids can join in together on it. And then the plan with the swings is we're going to, instead of incorporating an ADA swing on this one, we're going to remove, there's 2 typical swings on the other in the Secret Garden swing set. So we're either going to replace both or 1 of those with an ADA swing instead of incorporating it in this facility, since the Secret Garden is a bit more in the inclusive end. We do have a nice kind of climbing feature, jungle gym,
and then one of those spinners that seems to be kind of the most popular these days at all the parks. And then we have 8 benches, 7 of them are covered, and 4 of them are kind of joined together. And then the 3 that are along the barrier between the 2 playgrounds, those shade structures will, provide for both playgrounds. So we can, the township at some point can incorporate benches over there as well, as part of a separate project. There will be a fence installed around this. It's going to match the exact fence from the Secret Garden, and it's the same installer as well. We wanted to keep everything uniform out there. And then the entrance is going to be coming from the east, just south of the existing Secret Garden playground. We've gone through cost estimates and several iterations of getting cost, which can be difficult from some of these providers. But we have hard costs right now that are all within budget and with the safety factor, just because stuff comes up during construction. So right now we're looking good to build this project. Looking for approval of this plan, the layout itself from you guys.
Thanks. So everything looks great. I love the layout. I really like the bathrooms. I just had one question, because it says shade structures excluded from LSA grant budget. So does that mean the roughly
the
$45,000 the township would have to pay for?
That is correct, yes. So the LSA grant, unfortunately, is, for whatever reason, shade structures are not included within that.
Is that something
Everything
that we
else
have
on there.
budgeted it all for?
We have not specifically budgeted, but we're comfortable with it based on the available resource and the fee in lieu of to offset that.
I'm okay with it if we have it in the Parks and Rec budget, just because I know there's been a lot of complaints that there's no shade on the previous one. So, and this adds shade to the new one, and then technically the shade along the side adds a little bit to the existing playground. So
that was Will's intent of
sounds like
laying
a
them out
win-win.
there. We could add a couple benches in the future, where again the Secret Garden has more of like a portable bench that we could either relocate there or buy a few. We can add them over there. Yep.
And anybody that's here or listening on the phone, this project we have a grant for that's going to pay for the entire thing except for shade structures.
That is correct. I did want to make mention of that. You obviously mentioned that in your comment. The township was a recipient of a $900,000 local share award grant, again based on the cost estimate that's before us, not inclusive of those shade structures, which again we do not have the ability to modify the scope. We did check with DCD staff to see if there was any potential of incorporating that, but unfortunately there is not. So again, as Will noted, we're at 883, 709.76 for the fundable improvements with a safety and adjustment factor. So we're in a good spot from a project standpoint.
All right, I think I have only 2 more questions. Sure.
I have a quick question, and it's more old-fashioned park benches. I own one.
Mm-hmm.
I inherited said bench, so I know how, and it wasn't new when my parents got it. In all of the time that both they and I had it, I've had to replace the wooden slats once, and I would say about every 5 to 6 years or even longer, coat of shellac. I will tell you, they're extraordinarily comfortable. It is the old-fashioned New York City style, Philadelphia style park bench, wrought iron with the wood. The way it's, the seat, it's hard to describe, but it's extremely comfortable. They are very sturdy. They hold up, believe me, they wouldn't be still using them in the parks. Are they that much more expensive than what because they are also very attractive.
They are not. They're about 400 old. So Wabash is Wabash Valley is the provider for the park bench, and they have several variations of park bench. They do have one wood park bench that is nice, and it's about $400 more per bench, so $3,200 total. If we were to swap them all out.
Do they make that style using the, plastic that looks like wood also? I will just tell you, if you're sitting with kids, it's really comfortable.
Do you know what the material of is it a composite material? On the
Wabash park style wrought with
Do they make that with other material or just the
So
wood?
the one that's on the plan right now is the recycled material.
Yes.
Recycled plastic. They have one that is a classic wood, real wood bench.
Do they make that park bench style using the recycled plastic?
I can check. I would. You're talking about like with the arms.
Yep, you've got it.
Okay,
Well, and the seat kind of rolls.
I
There's a nice.
believe I've seen it on the website. I can
Just
can check, but
I will.
They haven't.
It's comfort.
40 variations of benches.
I'm sure they do, but it's comfortable, and I have to tell you, it is attractive.
Yeah, I mean, we can definitely look into that. And we have some funds.
Personal.
There's some wiggle room right now. So, and that's
Okay.
the cheapest thing on the plan. So.
That's true. Thank you.
To Judy's point, I think having benches with arms, if not all of them, at least some, would help from accessibility standpoint. Some people need the stability to have something to lean on.
Sure. Yeah, that's
So
not a
it's-
problem.
it's a good
Yeah, there's definitely margin.
And to get up and down.
If there isn't anything in wood, recycled plastic would be okay. Okay, great.
Yeah, I enjoy the wood too, but I would look for something with a lower maintenance cost. Yeah, just overall.
That was my
Yeah,
thought.
so the intention tonight, just so that there's clarity, is just sort of general, blessing of the project design and the plan. The intent in terms of execution on the project, we would actually bring the contracts back to you at your next meeting. We can look at the bench options consistent with the conversation here. Again, as is mentioned, there are remaining funds that are available and fundable portions within the LSA budget. I guess the only other thing is
And I just want to, because I was looking that up, the only thing I do want to caution on when we look at the benches, we do need pedestal mount benches. They cannot be surface mount because of the rubberized surface.
Correct.
So a lot of those park style benches are physical 4 legs that get bolted down. We unfortunately can't use that style on a rubberized surface. I just wanted to make sure
that's
clear.
correct. So it's going to be hard. I mean, maybe they might have something.
We could try, and we'll be glad to share that with you. I just want to be clear. You need a pedestal mount for the rubberized surface.
Correct.
Great. All right, so my question would be, what is the proposed timeline for this getting completed?
So once we are able to get these executed, then we can, we don't have a full timeline right now. We do need to finish it before next year. What is it?
Yeah, we got an extension. So initially, the grant was June 30th of 2026. We got an entire year extension, so we now have till June 30th of 2027.
So it has to be the last final
If you
payment would be that day.
Derek, just talk on the fabrication of the perhaps
Yeah, I would say,
restaurant
and
facility,
in
just
terms
to
of
make-
play equipment, I don't know where play equipment sits right now, but when we were talking with our supplier vendor on the precast structure, I believe at the time, their lead time, again, months ago, was 12 to 16 weeks lead on the restroom from date of PO given to the vendor. So, again, if we bring it to the next board meeting, you could assume probably it's at 3 to 4 months after that, the bathroom would be ready for delivery. And there is slight work to do and things like that, but I have a feeling at this point we're looking at a late fall, early spring project for next summer.
All right, sounds good. Is there any other questions?
That lines up with the playground equipment too.
Yeah.
So that's about 8 to 12 weeks.
And Derek, we've already put all of this through like the RFP process to build it and everything else. So we have quotes. We don't have to go back to anyone.
What we did on this project actually, again, as basically a cost saving measure, is the township is basically, we're GCing this project ourselves. So we're seeking an individual contract for the restroom through the KPN network for SJ Thomas. They're basically doing the site work for the restroom, getting the restroom for us. We're directly contracting with the playground surface that we did in Secret Garden, soft surface, again, as a cost savings measure, so we're not having another contractor mark them up. We're directly with them. Playground structures, we're going to contract directly with so basically the burden is on us to GC it, but it's at a savings, a significant savings versus paying markup on all these vendors if we went out traditional bid.
Can I just ask?
So when you say we're GCing it, are you personally serving in that role?
I am me, yes. That is I.
Okay.
I and Will next to me right here, yes.
Good. Okay. I just want to make sure who we go after if it doesn't get done properly. Right?
Will, if there's a problem, me if it's good.
That's fine.
My mom will come after you. She takes all 17 of her grandchildren to these parks.
And the only other comment, just staring at the drawings, just to be clear with Will, is a lot of the deciduous trees and shade trees that are shown here, the goal is that they would be incorporated, again, as a cost savings measure to get the most out of this LSA grant, is that they would be incorporated in the next tree planting plan to utilize tree bank funds for those items. Again, if we can hit planting season, great. If not, we're going to do them on the next planting season through tree bank funds.
I had two very quick questions. First, it seems like you confirmed my first question was around the playground surfacing. So it's essentially the same grid structure that we used when we replaced it.
Once we execute a PO with them, we'll get a rendering, artistic rendering, how the layout will be, just like secret, whether
So
we want to
far,
match it or do, absolutely.
That's worn pretty well, too, from what I've noticed.
It's doing great out there. Yeah, I have to say.
Second question I had was around the adult changing table, which is ADA accessible and meets everything that we were looking for. And I'm getting the affirmative on that. So we're good?
We're good.
That was-
On the second sheet, there's a detail actually of the changing table.
Yeah.
And all this
It is there.
specs, and it's basically what
really
requirements it meets. So it meets all the
It does.
technical requirements that I'm not very familiar with, but it does meet.
It's
all
a
the
400-pound load rating on the table.
Yeah, that's solid. That's like you would get in a hospital for an adult changing table or
Yeah.
something like that. So that's ideal. That's all I had.
You want to just briefly touch the aesthetic of the bathroom building is consistent with the aesthetic of the existing pavilion, is that correct?
So it's
Clad, that's what it was, yeah.
Yep, it's going to be, if you look at that, the detail on the first page,
It's nice.
that's pretty much, that's what you're looking at. It's going to match the existing bathroom out there and the slats, and then the color, obviously, we will match as well.
Great. All right.
Can I, instead of us just calling it the new playground, I don't know if this needs to be a motion, but we have Memorial Park due to only one person who's no longer with us. And I would really like to suggest strongly that we name this park in memory of Grace Gottschalk. She was a 36-year supervisor, God help her. She made sure that what was then North Park became Memorial Park. She made sure the garden, that we have the garden reflection. Truthfully, she was the one that went and got us the official state memorial designation. We can thank her for Macclesfield. We can thank her for 5 Mile Woods. I'd like this to be Grace's, either Grace's garden, Grace's playground. Middletown just named one of their playgrounds for a former supervisor.
Yeah, I mean, it's not on the agenda, but that's definitely
I would
something
like
that we can
for us
we can put
to
on
at
a
least
future meeting.
consider
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, absolutely.
This would be more meaningful to her and her daughter, who's the only one left, and her grandchildren than any other thing we could do.
All right, great. Is there a motion? Yes, for this, not anything new.
No.
I could say, Mr. Chair, I move that the Board of Supervisors provides the guidance that we approve the general plan for us to continue with the project as outlined by our Director of our Chief Operating Officer and Carroll Engineering.
Second?
I'll second.
Oh, I think
Dan, gotcha. All right, with that, is any more questions from the board? Any questions from the public? Come on up.
Hi, Abby Yates, Lower Makefield resident, Vice Chair of the Disability Advisory Board. I understand that I'm kind of late to this process now, but and that we're on a strict timeline with the grant and it's been extended, but I was curious why this was never brought to the Disability Advisory Board, because this is right next to the park that they spearheaded for so many years.
This, I can answer that, which, by the way, you notice there is the changing table.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm just
So
asking.
we were on a time crunch because at the time we started the process, we knew we had to have it by the July of this year.
June of this year.
June
yeah,
of
when
this
we
year.
started, yeah.
So that's why we were time crunched on this. So we didn't go through the normal, and did this didn't go to the Public Parks and Rec Committee at all, or did?
Yeah, it did.
It went
Okay.
to Parks
Well,
and
I'm
Rec.
sorry then. Oh, okay.
That's part of the,
And that would be.
I mean, Abby,
we
that,
found out from Parks and Rec.
Okay, yeah,
So-
then that would be not kosher.
Parks and Rec kind of sat on it for a while. And then when it got to the board, it was, if we don't decide in like 2 meetings how we're going to proceed, then we were going to lose it. So we talked about it in length to come up with this plan. This was probably 8-9 months ago. And then we had them work on it. And while they were working on it, we were able to get an extension. So if we knew at the time, because
I know,
that's.
I've gone back and since have watched all
Yeah,
the,
so
the
it-
meetings now.
Yeah, at
but
the time,
it's
we
just-
wanted to kind of draw it out a little bit and have it fully reviewed, but it was one of those, if we don't do something right now and get it going, then it would have just not happened, and we would have lost the $900,000 grant, so.
When the playground equipment was chosen, was any of it suggested to be accessible, or was it decided that this park was going to be not?
Yeah, I mean, yes, some of the equipment is accessible. We wanted it to be as accessible as possible, and with the bathrooms, we talked at length to make sure that they were the most accessible possible and would have the adult changing station and all
Yes,
that.
I understand. I'm just asking, because when we met with Parks and Rec and we were trying to figure it out, we didn't know, we had old plans that were given to us to review, and the equipment hadn't been decided. We didn't even get to see what equipment was chosen. So, we're just trying to piece together all the information from past meetings, from Parks and Rec, and trying to figure out what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, this is the first time since, I don't remember when we decided, in October or November of last year. This is what we decided and directed staff to come up with the best approach, and this is the first time we're seeing it. And from what the previous board spoke about, this is exactly what we asked for.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. All right, any other comments? All right, with that, I'll call the motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
All right, motion passes 5-0. Thank you very much,
All
gentlemen.
right, thank you.
All right, 11, solicitors report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It came to my attention that I may have neglected to announce at our last meeting on May 20th that that you, the supervisors, met in executive session. If I did neglect to do that, I apologize, and I'd like the minutes to reflect that the supervisors did meet in executive session prior to the May 20th, 26th meeting to discuss matters concerning litigation and real estate matters. With that, the minutes should also reflect that prior to this meeting on June 3rd, the supervisors likewise met in executive session immediately prior to this meeting to discuss matters concerning real estate and litigation matters. With that, just two quick items. One is we will have a few ordinances before you next month next meeting, not next month, next meeting to authorize for advertisement. And also, you will have before you on the agenda to vote on the International Fire Code ordinance, which you discussed last meeting. It's been advertised and is in the process of completing the publication and advertising requirements. Secondarily, I believe there is a request for us to attend on your behalf the Zoning Hearing Board meeting on September 16th to oppose, and I use oppose in quotation marks, the Simcox application. It's really to support Aqua's anticipated opposition to that placement of a fence in an easement area, specifically an Aqua easement area. So with that, I'd like a motion to authorize us to attend.
I move that we authorize the solicitor to attend and to share our opposition to building in any easements within the township.
I second.
Second.
All right, got a motion on the table. Is there any questions from the board? Questions from the public? All right, with that, I'll call the motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you, and that's the conclusion of my report.
All right, thank you. All right, item 12, discussion items. Potential amendments to the Lower Makefield Township zoning ordinance. All right, so I put this on the agenda just because it's come up several times recently. I wasn't really looking for a high-level discussion tonight. I was just looking for a consensus from the board to have staff and the solicitor look at these 7 items and see what realistically soon amendments we can make to it, to our zoning ordinances to improve these conditions, and then they'll come back to us at next couple meetings with the recommendations, and then we can kind of hash it out. I know we need basically a full zoning revamp, but that could take a couple of years, and I'm looking to, if we can make some quick updates in the next couple months.
Yep. Yeah, and Mr. Chair, I'm happy to, if you want to leave it at that, that's fine.
Yeah, that's kind of how I wanted to leave it at. I mean, I'll talk about the 7 items that have come up that we really want to look into and see if there's any quick changes we can make to shore it up and make it a little better. The first one is definition of impervious surface. The second one is administrative process for exceeding the impervious surface maximums. Third is lawful uses not provided for. 4 is data centers. 5 is skill games. 6 is medical marijuana. And 7 is easement encroachment language.
Yeah, so if I could just, again, without getting into detail, some of these are resolving sort of inconsistencies that exist between the zoning ordinance definitions and other ordinances. The item 2 is to really address the bulk of the zoning hearing board matters. There's a number of communities in Bucks County that provide an administrative process. As you know, your zoning hearing board, generally in circumstances where somebody's exceeding the maximum impervious surface permitted on a lot, requires the installation of structural best management stormwater facilities. And so there may be a way to essentially codify that process and have that recognized in the ordinance. And then the other issues I would say are either emergent sort of land uses that exist and/or areas where there's gaps, where there's lawful uses that again are not regulated with specific criteria within the zoning ordinance. So that's sort of the general motivation. Again, we'll come back to you with specifics, but just for contextual purposes, that's sort of high level. I'm happy to answer any questions on any of these issues if you have them.
Does anybody have any questions from the board?
I just wanted to briefly address the data center issue because there was some online concern that we were going to meet tonight to try and get some data centers built in Lower Makefield Township. That is not what we were doing. The way that the zoning code works is right now, since we don't address data centers at all, if for whatever weird reason Pennsbury sold all the middle schools to a data center company, we would have a very hard time not letting them build a data center there because we don't permit a data center anywhere in Lower Makefield. So they would have a strong legal case because we're required to allow any legal business to operate within the boundaries of the township. So that's what we're trying to solve for, is just to make sure that we are putting reasonable limits on where legal businesses are able to operate.
Correct. I mean, none of these are advocacy for any of these uses. It's just when there is a lack of criteria governing uses, that's when there's potential challenges to the validity of the township's zoning ordinance.
Yeah, thank you for the clarity on that.
And we can and will. We're working on these right now, many of these, and what I alluded to in my report are some of the things that we may have before you next meeting.
Great.
So there are things that we are working on. As far as timing is concerned, many of these, because they're zoning changes, they do require that extra step for advertisement. They do have to go to Bucks County Planning Commission for review, so that adds at least another 30 days to any process.
So my question to you would be, do we need a motion for this, or do we just need consensus to direct staff to draw this up some options for the board?
I don't believe you need a motion. I think it's just a consensus, and we can work on it. And when we get something more formalized and substantive in front of you, that's when a motion would be required.
All right. Do I have consensus from the board?
Have my consensus.
You have
Supervisor
mine.
Lewis?
Yeah.
Judy? Dan?
Yeah, well, I just want to thank you for putting this on the agenda. We've been talking about this for a while, and I'm glad we can move forward with it. It's also just really quick. We are looking at zoning across the township when we look at the steering committee for other portions of the township. So we're doing a wholesale, holistic review of zoning and land use across the township at this point. This plays right into that. So as we consider various uses, I think looking at it in this manner is super helpful. And when we do look at it, other areas in the state have had even more pressure for things like data centers and other land uses that may not occur here just because of constraints. So definitely would look, and I can help with this if necessary, definitely would look at other parts of the state for example ordinances that have come about, because there have been a lot of very new ones just in the last several months that we may be able to leverage to save some work.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. With that, we will move on from that, and staff will come back to us with any updates or recommendations. All right, 13, supervisor reports. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, absolutely. Sorry about that.
We have a car coming in.
Yeah, we actually have public comment in the room. I apologize, everybody. It's late. I forgot to ask the public.
Hi, my name is Dakota DeMatty. I'm a member of Lower Makefield Township. So I just have a general question or, I guess, comment if like lighting could be added to like the zoning considerations. Just, I guess, like additional context, the Black Rock Road house with the fence. Sorry, not to like rehash everything, but there were like large LED lights on the fence, and I know that's permissible in zoning, but I live across the street and they don't turn off. So, I mean, it's fixed now, there's trees, but if something could be added to zoning that you can't have like large LEDs on a residential street, it'd be nice, so.
That is something that we can definitely look into. We just can't speak about any current pending litigation.
Oh yeah, I wasn't asking, I was
Yeah.
just giving context, 'cause
But-
I didn't know that was I didn't know
Yeah.
you couldn't, it's allowable, because I wanted to find a loophole to get rid of it. Anyway,
Yeah, we can definitely put criteria in
Yeah,
the zoning
yeah.
ordinance governing.
Yeah, if we
governing
can look into lighting
Yeah.
also.
I think lighting is very important that we put that in our zoning. It's different than it was
Agreed.
years ago.
yeah, no other comments on that. Thank you.
All right, so the caller on the line.
Yes, we're bringing in Luke.
Welcome, Luke. I think is it pound 6?
Star 6.
Star 6, see,
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Great, thanks. Yeah, my name is Luke Butler. I'm a resident of Lower Makefield. And I wanted to echo what Supervisor Grenier said about these discussion items. Thanks for putting them on the agenda, Supervisor Ross, because these are big, important topics, and I'm glad that we have a chance to hear what the board's thinking and get the conversation going. I've been learning, partly with some help from some of the members on the board, that with respect to data centers, it's difficult for individual towns to resist, I guess, data center development. And so while the township's working on changes possibly to our zoning, I just wanted to make, many of you probably know that State Senator Katie Muth has just introduced some legislation at the state level. It's called Senate Bill 1359 for a 3-year moratorium on hyperscale data centers. And I'd ask that the board, and either as a group or individually, the supervisors consider communicating their support for that legislation to our state representatives, because it could give us some breathing room to do the work internally and some legal cover at the state level. Yeah. And that's it. That's my comment. I appreciate all your work. Thanks very much.
all right, yeah, no, we can definitely look into that. And thank you, Luke, and thank you for keeping the township informed on everything that's going on in our meetings.
Yeah, 100%. Oh yeah, 100%. Happy to be a resident here. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, bye.
All right. So now on to item 13, supervisor reports. Me, I have no report. Supervisor Lewis?
Me, I have no report.
Perfect. Love it. Supervisor Coyle?
I'm always the one who has reports. First off, Farmland Preservation is happy to report the farmland is still preserved. The Historical Architecture Review Board needs a new member. They need a registered realtor, a real estate agent to join that board. You're looking at me weird.
I think it's a real estate broker.
Broker. I apologize. Did I get the term
believe
wrong?
so. Yes.
A licensed real estate broker. If you know one who cares about historical architecture, have them email admin@lmt.org. The Historical Commission is continuing their wonderful work, and we are seeing a path going in over at Slate Hill Cemetery, proceeding forward. Thank you to the Community Fund for supporting that. The HRC, Human Relations Commission, still needs a student representative. If you know a high school age student who wants to get involved in their community, have them stand up and send their resume to admin@lmt.org. And lastly, I had the pleasure of walking Patterson Farm last week with Mr. Kratzer, with Derek, with Dan, and some rain clouds as we took some architects on a tour of the property to get to work on implementing those LSA funds. So I know a lot of folks keep asking what's happening at Patterson. Are we spending the money? If we could just put the money in a pile in the middle of a field and light it up like we do the mulch every year and get preservation out of that, we would. Unfortunately, we have to go through a process. So the process is moving. Patterson Farm is being preserved. Thank you all.
Thank you. Supervisor Reese?
The seniors are having a guess, a 250th on June the 9th at the Community Center. Trenton Mercer Airport Review Board wants to work with the people in the other townships along the river because from what we have heard, Hopewell is trying to convince the flight school to only fly on the Pennsylvania side and not on theirs at all.
That's nice of them.
I am going to work with the group and try to have a meeting with the commissioners, Mercer County commissioners. I don't know any of them any longer personally. I used to, but I will let you know how that goes. I believe Parks and Recreation are looking for members, and Golf Committee did not meet. It will meet coming up.
All right, and last but not least, Dan, you are up.
I would only say that the steering committee met, the SR 332 Stony Hill Steering Committee met and is developing a plan for public outreach and to get stakeholder feedback in the coming weeks and months. So stay tuned for that.
All right, thank you. All right, item 14, other business. We have no other business. Item 15, appointments and reappointments to boards and commissions. We do not have any, but we will have several at the next meeting coming up. Item 16, additional public comment on non-agenda items. Is there anyone in the audience that has any additional public comment? Anyone on the phone?
No one online.
All right, and we come to my favorite item, item 17, adjournment. Everybody have a wonderful night. Thank you.